Aye.
Identify yourself for the club.
Mike Wilkie from Oleana Property Management on behalf of YZ Oleana.
You're here for what property?
Several for YZ Oleana.
Oh, I see
property.
what's over.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's all I need for. Clerk, call the roll, please. Chairman, here. Commissioner Coleman.
Here.
Commissioner Livermore.
Here.
Commissioner Levinson. Here. Commissioner Hamel.
Here.
Councilmember Durham. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, petitioners. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of the November 4th meeting. If I could entertain that. Do I have a second? Thank you. Are there any questions about the minutes? It's always very good. Thank you. Go ahead. Yes. Commissioner Coleman.
Here. Yeah. Aye.
Commissioner Livermore.
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson. Yes. Commissioner Hamel.
Aye.
Thank you. We're going to adjust the agenda just a little bit because we have petitioners here. So Mr. Land, we're going to take you first. We'll take you next. And then we'll get to your properties right after that. And then whoever is not here will proceed with those items.
Thank you.
So if you have a copy of the agenda, we're going to start with number 1, which is 53 Center Street.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Your appeal is, go ahead.
You have everything in front of you, of course. One of the problems with this one was I have a management company that manages this stuff for me, and it just wasn't done. They're having people issues and employment issues with people getting to work with COVID and all those things. I do realize that I could do it. It got skipped. I'm a first responder. I moved from DC to New York, and it's busy times. And with COVID being what it is and shot mandates, I just missed it. And thinking that it was taken care of course. In the course of the move, I had several different addresses, and you guys were nice enough to put this off for me once because I couldn't make it last time, so I do appreciate that. And in addition, with reserve duty from September, October, I was in Qatar, helping facilitate the or operational AR from the Afghans back to the States, so I just haven't been around. So that's why I have been missed.
Well, that's why you have a local property manager.
I agree. And they have had problems getting people to work with COVID and all that other stuff. And that's basically the gist of it right there.
Well, it was probably good for them to pay your fine because these are the things that you're late on were things that had anything to do with COVID. I mean, they could have been set in at any time. So I personally, I'm not for it, and it's nothing the city did. Granted, it didn't go to your regular address, but you didn't let us know what your regular address is. Thank you for letting us know now what your address is. You need to, an email will let us know.
Yes, ma'am. When you did catch up to me, I did, and I realized what was going on. I did take that step to obviously.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You might also want to update the county because they still have your old there.
Yes,
You know you've updated us.
okay, I didn't know to do that.
Yeah, it's just good to keep on top of those things. And again, if your property management company didn't keep on top of it, it goes against them rather than you. I mean, I would suggest sending them a bill for the difference. I mean, or not paying them.
It's a reality where everybody right now is not making any money, so I don't think that's really gonna work, but I do appreciate the suggestion. That's
We
it.
haven't voted yet, so you may.
Yes, ma'am, no, I understand, I get it, it's just,
But do keep us abreast of your address. That's a little bit of an issue in your next appeal, which is for
church,
the church.
yes, ma'am, and they would address the issue on that.
This is what we have, you filled it out. You signed it. This is the address we have. We aren't allowed to send it to anything other than the address that we have on file. So, that's really up to you. Whenever you change address, if you own property, the city's already on it, you need to let us know.
Yes, ma'am.
So, folks, do you have any additional questions from Mr. Lyon?
So we have the current address on file now.
Yes,
This 204 South Fayette, Virginia was your address originally where you were living?
Yep.
he's
So,
now in New Jersey.
correct, okay, so that's what the current one that we have. I just have a question about the invoice itself, the $42 invoice, which was dated 10/11/2020. It says local agent designation. That's the actual form, right? Not that. this
Yeah, it's
is
just a
the
form.
agent. Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure. So he's saying he had a local agent, but we didn't have one on file, is what we're saying? Got it. Just wanted to clarify that I was
And
understanding.
then
correctly.
the
Thank
same
you.
thing with the property use
Same
certification.
thing. Yeah, okay. That is, okay. Thank you.
So would anyone like to offer a motion?
I would like to deny this motion due to the fact that the city was not negligent in making any errors, but rather that it just didn't happen on behalf of the owner. And that was for 53 Center Street only I'm talking about.
Could we clarify that again? I didn't get it.
I said I'd like to deny the motion, the appeal, because the city was not at fault for anything, it's just that it didn't happen by the property owner.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion?
Chair Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer? Commissioner Leavenworth?
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson? Yes. Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Okay, now we're into the next one, 46 Church Street. This one, the inspection that you're appealing in 2018. And the reason it's as high as it is because you only just had it done. We have a record of that now. In October 10/29/21.
Yes, ma'am.
And yes, you're right, we didn't have your correct, we had your on file address, we didn't have your new address. You know, we appreciate you letting us know that we have that. I think there was a communication with your agent, yes?
There was an email sent.
There's an email to your agent that this is due. And again, done. I do see that, you know, there was a spelling error, but we've corrected that now. It's still Wednesday address you had on file.
Well, then, and if there is one stipulation there, okay. I did get it, so there's an address here that on September of 21, for the same property, I received an address I haven't lived at since 2014. And then, in October,
I'll you the answer to, we have a property use here from 2016, it's probably not in the file. And that was still the Alexandria address, 205.
205, okay. But then, now, that had been updated because in October, November of 21, I received for the same property to my old address, not the New Jersey address. So at some point, the address I lived at previously was there, same property. October, I got something, to my address from 2014. And November, same property, I got it to my second address in Alexandria.
And I'll still bring up the fact that the county still has you at 205. Alexandria.
I had no idea the county had to get updated, so I'm certainly I understand that. I thought
I mean,
it was-
otherwise we can't get it to you.
What's
If
that?
we don't know where you
Get your
live, we
address.
can't get it to you.
They run the property address, so we pull it from the county's property, that you're the owner, that's your address, that's where your taxes get paid through and all, that's where we pull
Okay.
it. So that has to be updated. And that's where we pull this address, we typically pull this address from, correct, gentlemen?
Yes.
Unless we have a property use, a new
I
property.
need practice one.
Yeah, and then they send out the information and we send it on to get a new address change, property transfer to sale.
Is Rose is this a sole or local agent?
Local.
I was just gonna ask the question, because I see Peter Clark's name on all this paperwork back here, is that the agent?
No, Liz Rose is.
Yeah. for
They
sure.
probably the famous guy that Peter Clark was Liz, everybody do it. Not knowing exactly.
Well, these are
So that's the
like fees,
inspector's-
inspection fees
Yeah,
are,
right.
right.
This is the inspector's signature. And it's Jack Burgess, that's the signature is for Jack Burgess.
okay, so then in 2018, we sent certified mail, which was returned. And then we notified the agent that was on file. Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Through an
And
email.
then, and the thing there, if we got it returned, usually if you look at just the certified, we usually, all the years I've been here, luckily, we've had 4 or 5 regular mails. come
As
in.
unclaimed,
So
yeah.
they're still getting the regular mail, whether they get the certified or not. A lot of people will reject the certified because they think that means, you know, they got to sign for it.
And then 2018, which address was that?
So in 2018, we have 205 South Columbus Street, Alexandria, Virginia.
Yeah, which is the one that I had left.
That's the one that county tax.
But then you're saying, Joe, was you, this is yours, sorry. You're saying that in 2018, we also, at that point, sent an email to the agent on file?
I know there was one sent in 2020
2020.
and strictly out of, local agent. Yeah, it's out of courtesy at that point. Local agents on file in case we need to contact somebody, get in the building for an inspection. A sole agent gets all of the mailings from our office. So since I knew that Liz Rose, I've never met Mr. Lamb. This is the first time, so. I knew Liz Rose took care of his properties, and out of courtesy, I said, these are accumulating very high fines. If I went back through the years, I could find multiple of these emails. I just focused on the one in 2020.
Current, okay, and, sorry, I know I'm asking a lot of questions, but this is a pretty substantial bill, so I'm not sure I understand everything correctly.
Yes, ma'am.
Liz Rose was the agent on file as of when?
Pretty old.
From the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
From the beginning?
Yeah,
I would say so.
So then my
As-
next
as
question is,
long as
why
we-
did Liz Rose not get the mailings? Why is it going to his physical
Because
address?
she's not the sole agent.
She's a local agent.
local agent. He gets everything because he's the owner and he has not designated a sole agent.
Local
Oh, she did
basically.
not designate a sole agent. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Liz is not sole agent on file.
She's not the sole agent, no.
Just-
She's not, just to get all the stuff because
Got it,
he hasn't authorized her to get all the stuff.
got it. That's what I was asking. Okay.
And it might be wise for you to do that. If you're moving around all the time, it's likely that you're not gonna hear from us. In fact, here's a heating inspection that was due in 2018. It's now 3 years later. And last year you got it on your taxes. That would have alerted you to the fact that, gosh, gee, how come this is on my taxes? And you would have called the code enforcement office and
I
said.
actually
"Why is
called,
this on?"
I called the taxation, because I just thought my taxes got raised, and they informed me of it. But it was paid, at that time, there was no recourse for me, it was paid, it was on my taxes, so I didn't know that I could, come here and,
Where's the tax bill going to? I mean, are you getting the tax bill?
I am getting tax bill, absolutely. At all my addresses,
At 205 it's going to, so how are you getting that?
I was getting it at 204, and absolutely, it was getting. And I do my taxes of course, for tax purposes, I have to make sure that I have those, and I've certainly got them all, Like I said, there's some reason why in November of 2001 and September of 2001, for the same property, it went to 205, and then it went to 204, both Alexandria addresses, but I did nothing in between those. So I didn't update to this,
So let's see.
Yeah, I want to see 205.
so 204 was updated. Because that's where I had been receiving everything. But of course, then in moving to New Jersey, that's a whole other.
I'll pass it down. You'll get it back, don't worry.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Okay, so may I suggest that no matter what we decide here today, that you make a sole agent since you are bouncing around and moving for work
I've
purposes.
learned that,
what have you.
absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Because what'll happen is she will get all of your mailings directly if she's your sole.
And she will hopefully know where you
And
are.
know where you are.
Yeah, we
because
know where, yes,
once
ma'am.
they pay.
So the only thing that I would want to throw out there is if we noticed that the county had a different address, we might have just assumed he wasn't getting it and we sent it to whatever's on the record of the county. Because technically the code defaults to that, like if we don't get a response or if we feel like maybe this person isn't getting these mailings, like we might also send a duplicate or a secondary notice to whatever the county has. So I mean, that's
That's the thing, the county is still his old addresses.
right. So what I'm saying is that might explain the wrinkle there with the two mailings to
Yeah.
both. We might have sent one to this one and then sent another one to whatever the county had.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, the 204 on 53 Center is from February of this year.
So my,
So.
The 204, yes, sir.
so my question is, how did we get the furnace inspections? I mean, did we get those from Liz Rose? Peter Price, do you remember?
Jack probably turned
So,
And they just sent, they didn't send them to you, they sent them to us?
I would assume, I mean, Liz keeps a file, I'm sure she has that in my file for the inspections.
That's where I'm kind of like really confused. That's why I thought they were the sole. Because we came directly, that's what I was saying. Clark's all over this, what.
So what happens with some of those plumbing, those furnace inspections? Like Jack Burgess, if he doesn't have a reason to give them to Sean Land, Jack Burgess might just come, turn them into the code office. Then we'll stamp it, we'll make a copy of the stamps so that he has a copy showing that we received them. And then that's kind of where it goes from there. So not all these guys, depending on the property management company, are giving them to a manager who's then giving to us. You know, it might just be a plumber that comes in and says, here's this, it's for this address, we stamp it, we enter it in the computer.
That is very common. That happened today.
yeah, it's just-
Jack Burgess turned in something that said Frank Caputo, who is not even an owner. He's just a maintenance guy that works at a property. And he came back and he said, I think Jack, or Frank came back and said, I think Jack submitted something, put the wrong owner, crossed through it, put the owner's name. It happens constantly. I mean,
Yeah, so like these electricians and plumbers, they're turning in forms to us directly. They might, I mean, Jack Burgess has maybe never met Sean Land, has no idea who he is in the street.
That's correct.
Right, so I mean, that's kind of how these inspections work. So someone notified Jack that they needed the furnace inspection. He went out and did it, he submitted it to us, that ended the fee. You know, that's where we kind of find ourselves today.
That's where I'm trying to find the disconnect. This who
Yeah.
notified you to do this.
Here's what I think happened. I think you got a bill from us. And you appealed it. You probably called Liz and you said, what about my heating inspection?
And that's when it got done in
And then
October.
she went ahead and ordered the heating inspection. A month later, the heating inspection happened.
That's who that email is from that you just showed us, correct? From Liz.
Well, I didn't have the email, I had the ones with the two different addresses, and,
Right.
so in the one that had my address in 2014, and all the way back in 2020, I was receiving, written correspondence at 204 South Fayette Street. Now, the problem with that one from church, which was September of 2021, it was going back to 205 South Columbus Street, the separate address, and I hadn't lived that since 2014. So as soon as I saw that in, November 2nd of 21 or October, that's when we ordered the heat inspection. So as soon as I saw it, it was acted on. The 205, of course, I didn't see, but all the way back to 2020 with other properties, I'm at, you know.
Oh, I see. Just 204, the code office had 204. That was sent by the finance office to 205.
Okay,
Okay, that makes sense.
so that, but I didn't pick up on it. The other one, of course, I
County
picked up on that one.
Liz will kind of roll.
Because that's what they have.
Yeah, so
It's
whoever the county has is who the default notice is sent to.
Right.
Oh, and the 11 one. No, the first one was the rebill. Or the closeout of the year, and then the second one came from you when this was done. When the. Here, let me see again.
Dan, to answer yours too.
I think that's.
Yeah, 11/2, this was closed out.
Close out.
Because the finance office sent a end of the year, pay it now or it's gonna go on your taxes. And the code enforcement office said, okay, the inspection was done, here's your bill for.
Right.
And we have the. I'm still kind of confused too. This is. And Liz, this came from Liz.
The email came from her, that's why I thought.
Or this went from you to Liz. You gotta let us know what your address is, you know, that's all I can say. You gotta keep us up to date, because we get our addresses from different places. One came from the county and the other came from the code enforcement office, which had your latest address, I mean, your 205 address.
204.
I don't know. which-
So,
you know,
that's from the code enforcement, they're both from code enforcement.
Well, sort of, they are,
Two-
one is
205.
from the finance office and one is from code enforcement. It's just that the finance office sends out and ends the year just before we put things on the taxes to say, you know, this is the sort of the last chance
Drop that
before it
date.
goes on your taxes. We have several of those today that are, it wasn't completed. And so a bill went out just to say, look, there's a bill coming. And then when you actually completed it, that was the 196.
I have a question.
So,
Question.
yes,
Sorry.
go ahead.
There's a lot of money. I want to make sure I get
It
everything
is,
right.
it is.
Go ahead, Joe. You had something to say?
No,
Can I add to it?
no, I'm just-
Okay, so my question is, you acquired this property in what year?
46 Church,
Yes.
I don't know, I have several different properties, my best guess would be 2012, 2013.
And all of the properties are rentals?
September 14th.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and all your properties are rentals, so you know the process is what I was trying to find out, is that you have other properties that you do
That is
rentals.
correct. I have
and you
other
have
properties.
process inspection.
But I,
So your other properties are all going to the right address is my next question,
they were all going to 204,
which
which
is.
at the time was the correct address.
Until you
Everything
moved
was
to New
going
Jersey,
to
until you moved to New Jersey.
correct, yes, yes.
Thank you.
Good question.
Do you have something to add, so you make my life more?
At present time, this address does not have a CUC, needs a housing inspection regular, and the smoke detector ran out in April.
Okay, you got all that? Get on that.
It's the first I'm hearing of
Let
it.
me give you the sheet.
Yes, sir, perfect, thank you. It is the first I'm hearing of it.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion, because we gotta keep going here. I got 4 kids at home. Unfortunately, now that I have all the information, I can understand everything, I'm going to make a motion to deny the appeal due to the fact that we have the correct address according to what is on file with the tax roll. And that you own other properties and know the process, so it's not just the first time you own this home or a new home in the city. And that's my motion.
Second.
And is there any further discussion?
Chairman,
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman,
Yeah.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamel.
Yes.
I'm so sorry, but you know, it's up to you to get these things in.
Sorry.
And it's not like,
I know it's a lot of
not
money.
like it was a surprise, unfortunately. So, you know, from 2018, that's a pretty big amount. And our property manager should have been taking care of this.
So this
Should
is
not
not
needed to get this letter from you saying, look, this is going on. You know, it's gotta happen way before that.
Is this, did this hit the taxes too, anyway?
It's going to.
Yeah.
I think,
Just to clarify, the heating inspection 3 just means it's the 3rd year it hasn't been done.
Right, I understand that.
That's why
Yeah,
it's so
I
big.
just, well,
No, that, I mean, it's the whole year, right?
yeah, I mean, every
The
year.
third year that it
It's the
hasn't
third
been
year. So
completed, it
last
should have
year,
been
you
done,
got hit with this
Correct.
giant bill. It's just been hitting.
accumulating.
Yeah, so it's not this big because it's from 2018. It's this big just because it's the third.
Well, I paid a hefty fine last year as well. By the time I got it,
It was
and
on
was
your
aware
tax
what was
bill.
going on, it was already, it's done.
Yeah.
So,
But on January first, when you got your tax bill, you should have been on the phone with us saying, what do I need to do
Well,
to not to avoid this?
I had no idea that code could do that. I just thought my taxes went up. Now, again, being away, I probably caught up on that around March timeframe, and I called the tax assessor, and they told me what was going on. But again, by that time,
Well,
It's
last
said
year,
no, and then-
but this year, no. This year, as of January, you should have been.
I get it, and then between deployments and everything else, that things get missed. But
That's what Liz is there for.
Yeah.
Liz is there, an email away. Cool, you just say, figure this out and get it done.
But make her the sole. Make her sole so that she gets it, so that you're
And then
kind of-
she
you'll
can
still be in
give
the
it to
loop,
you.
but. At that point, you can say to her, you didn't do this, why isn't this done, and you take this fine.
So thank you very much for coming in.
Okay, thank you all for
Thank
your
you,
time.
sir.
Well, for the
Thank
new
you.
year, and,
Thank you.
Okay, the kids. You are here because of your blighted property designation and the fee that went along with it. And I do know that you put in a restoration agreement, but you didn't need it. The property looks exactly as it did when we declared it blighted.
Oh, there are things that have been done that perhaps haven't been noticed,
Well,
but there's been a tremendous amount of work done. I know because I did it myself.
well, that's fine, but you need to tell them, those guys, and you set up a schedule. I think we can project the schedule? I don't have it. Do you have this, do you have this,
Restoration agreement,
restoration agreement?
that's why I emailed you, right?
Yeah, you did. I sent very good, didn't get through it.
And John, which one was that? The first one?
Second one.
The second one?
Second one.
Yeah, and you said some things were gonna be done in May. And we have no record of that. And then you said some more things were gonna be done this fall. And it's not, you didn't do anything, as far as we can see. I mean, tell us what you did do.
There was a veritable mountain of construction debris in the side yard of
Yeah.
39.
And it's still on the porch.
It is on the porch. I am going to, what I'm going to do is make the porch safe to actually travel on. That the end foundation of one of the porch posts is out, and I have to support it before I will even go out there to do the work on it, to just empty that porch. All of the I don't consider the stuff there debris, because my intent is to use at least, well, as much of it as I can reuse in the reconstruction. So I needed to keep it sheltered.
So wouldn't rot, and we understand that.
Exactly, yeah. And then, but otherwise, the house is going to be wrapped, the house wrapped going on the OSB.
Okay, so here is your restoration agreement. On May 5th by May 5th of 2021, the exterior cleanup, remove construction debris from yard and porch, demo the staircase to the street, reapply for building permit.
Mhm.
By 11/20/21, finish studying out the interior walls, rough-in plumbing and wiring. And then by April 20th of 22, install siding and trim. And it seems like you're reporting that you did a lot, but
Yes.
many of those things are still like the porch still has construction debris on it, and I hear what you're saying, but it's, you know, it's a perfect opportunity to work with the code enforcement office and say, this is what I'm doing, and this is what, you know, I'm changing my restoration agreement so I can meet it, but you didn't do that. You just kind of went ahead. And we have no idea what you've done. You haven't reapplied for a building permit.
Anybody else want to say this?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I heard.
Okay.
It's hopefully gonna come up, but you can take a look at it.
I hadn't reapplied for the building permit because I hadn't gotten to the point that I said I was going to be at when I was going to apply. So it's a little bit of best laid plans.
But knowing that there was a $2,500 fee hanging over your head,
Well, that's
it
okay.
might have been a good idea to get in touch with us and say, I'm gonna amend it. This is what I'm planning to do, and this will move us along to whatever, you know, having the house not be either an eyesore or a danger. So that's why you got the $2,500 from, because there was no appearance that you had met your goals that you had set.
Well, I hadn't met someone that's.
Well, yeah. So, you know, you're right, that the blighted designation is to get you to do something.
Mhm.
So what shall we do? You know, it's been, I think it was a year ago that we were at this point, saying that your property is an eyesore, it is unsafe, there are things, you know, that need fixing. And here we are a year later, and it looks just exactly the same. And I hear that you've been doing things, but we didn't know that. So, you know, the question I have for the board, there isn't an appeal process really for the blighted, but here we are being appealed to. The goal is to get this property fixed up. And where we are right now, we don't have a lot of confidence that you'll do that.
And you've not reached out to code to update this. Did you know that you could reach out to code to update this?
I didn't really understand that would be a part of the process.
So part of the process with the city of Oneonta is that we want properties to look clean, be clean, and be safe for our residents. So your neighbors are what pushes us to see your property has an issue. They call and complain and they're like, I keep my property up. Why doesn't this neighbor have to keep their property up?
And it's not about
It's-
making it
it's-
fancy, it's really
just
about
for
making
safety.
it habitable.
Right.
Right.
And not a danger to the rest of the neighborhood, which, you know, outside debris, the vermin, you know, there's just a lot of reasons why this is taking place. So we're trying to figure out whether we have any confidence that if we let you off on this, that you're gonna do anything. And we won't be right back here next year.
I can't afford that.
Yeah, so that's my other thing. I understand we created these so that we push property owners to fix and do and make better and be safer. However, this is dated April of this year, so it's not completely full year yet, but there's two different goals not met yet.
Well, all three, yeah.
This is the new one, okay. Mhm.
Well, the last is
This is
Do-
fine, too big.
22.
It's vacant.
Yeah, well, last is
It's
22.
vacant? It's vacant?
Yes, yes.
You know, yes, that, I mean, it sounds wonderful. By April of 22, we're going to have siding and trim on the house. That's really great. And, you know, it'll look fine, and
That in
inside
itself-
will be fine. Finish studying out the interior walls, roughing the plumbing and wiring, that's wonderful, that's great. But as far as we know, it hasn't happened.
Right.
No,
The exterior cleanup is my biggest concern because if the house is vacant, so I don't have to worry that somebody's not safe at that point inside the house, but the exterior is not safe if a kid jumps up on your porch and goes through it. I mean, you're in a lot of trouble.
That's why it got to the point where I actually, just in order to empty that, and the foundation is concrete blocks that have in one corner come down. So I've replaced porches before and realized that the whole thing had to be actually shored up to get to that point. Once that, just making it safe enough to go on the porch to do that, then I would go ahead with the, not even necessarily the renovation of that porch, certainly the foundation for it. It wouldn't be pretty, but it would be safe.
But it's still not done.
Right.
And you've got the debris on top of the
How long
porch.
is this debate?
Do you have a recollection?
West Street. Couple years since I've done this.
You know, I don't know what there is that we can do with the apparent complete lack of making the goals that you set. You know, maybe this is a learning experience for you, it certainly is for us, because it's unfortunate for us too. I mean, we didn't want to be in this position.
No.
To keep in contact with the code enforcement office. They're really here to see that you make progress. And they want to see that you make progress. And they haven't seen progress. So, you know, I'm very torn as to whether we should let this fee stand and hope next year's better, or whether we should say, you know, we'll hold off on it for, you know, a couple of months and see whether you can work with the code enforcement office to come up with a new restoration agreement. If you can't, if it's unsatisfactory, then the fee will, you know, be on. I think there's a reason why we could do that, but on the other hand, we don't know what you're capable of doing.
I have a question. Do you live locally? Sorry. I see your address is pop.
No, he lives in
You live
Hopewell.
alone.
How about on Long Island?
So when
it's not gonna
are you
happen
doing the work
in February.
yourself? Is this all work you're doing?
It's not gonna happen now
Have
until
all along.
spring.
So none of this is, are you progressing in any of these goals right now? Are you?
Yes. In particular, well, not even mentioned, well, it is, the front porch needs that shoring up. And now that I have the direction to do it and the time, now I can actually do it.
Do you know what time frame you're talking about doing it? I mean, now?
I wouldn't want snow on it. Mhm.
Which
So-
matter?
You're
It's
right.
not gonna stop snowing now.
No. So the sooner actually, the better on something like that. And our next schedule, we visit here, or the time that we spend here, because we probably spend about half the amount of time on the island and half the amount of time here. Usually it's me doing going, and Eileen handles stuff down on the island.
But now I'm retired.
Oh, very nice.
So I can-
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So,
You're lucky.
so the-
Are your plans to do this now? I guess that's.
Yes.
Miss-
Yeah, what's your time frame?
really, it is, as soon as possible to go, so that we're coming here on, that Wednesday is what, 2 weeks? Is that right?
15th, yeah, 14th.
So that would get, that shoring up would happen. That would enable me then to safely go out and remove the material from and store it in another way, because some of the old lumber that's involved in this stuff is gorgeous. And
So why isn't it in the house?
Uh,
Sorry, I don't. need to.
Because there was, in the process of doing, of laying out, walls and things like that.
Oh, you are doing this studying that's on the second goal already, is what you're
Yes,
saying?
it's not completely done. The second story that I had added, that's the only place that the study isn't finished, isn't completed. So it's downstairs is done, upstairs is the next thing.
Okay,
So-
I have a question.
I'll make a motion that we table this
Yeah.
until January. We schedule an inspection, see where you are. If you have made progress in this regard,
Mhm.
then we will possibly, I'm not gonna take anybody else's vote, waive the fee, but we want you to make progress.
Some
And
progress,
the
yes.
important thing is to make progress. So I make a motion that we table this until January.
I second.
If you're gonna be up here, come back January, what day is it? I have it on the sixth.
With the idea that we talked.
The
Sixth,
first Thursday,
January, yeah, first Thursday of
yes.
January.
I myself, just so you're aware, I second that motion. I would say that as far as the study is concerned, that's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is the outside issue, because.
Because
there are
that's
kids
where, that's the
playing,
community.
And that's where the community is gonna get hurt. They're not gonna get hurt inside your house, they're not gonna go in it.
Right.
So,
Unless you leave the door.
right,
I mean, I just kind of throw in something.
Yeah.
Part of this lighting thing is also to deal with properties like this that are negatively impacting the adjoining properties. and
right, that was what I was
property values.
saying, your neighbors, right?
So, I mean, I understand the safety aspect of this, but I mean, this has been a vacant property for 10 years. That's had little to no. And I'm not saying anything negative about Paul, I'm just saying,
Right.
this has been an ongoing project that we'd like to see wrapped up, and I mean, part of
Absolutely.
getting these projects wrapped up is ending up with a nice house that either gets sold or someone moves into, or, you know, is not
I- you know,
detrimental.
They have a lot of impatience because they've seen history here that we don't like to see.
Mhm.
So we don't want you to think we're not serious about, like, oh yeah, we're just gonna let you off, because I don't think we're going to, but we need to see progress. So in the next month, you're going to make some progress, you're going to have an inspection, they're gonna take a look at it and see how you're doing. And you're gonna write up a new, more aggressive
New goals.
restoration agreement that has a little bit more detail so that they can see what you actually are going to do and what is not maybe gonna be done right away. We'd like to see it, we'd like to see it cited by spring, but I have a feeling that's not gonna happen. So don't give us dates that you're gonna meet, but give us some step by step, so that we aren't like, well, you're not making any progress. So with that motion and second, is there additional discussion?
So this would be very definitive.
This would be one, right, we want affirmative, we want evidence that you've made affirmative progress, especially on that porch. And I think that's what we're talking about.
Right, and the whole point of the fees is to
Do
motivate you
it.
guys not to get the fee, and, I mean, they're busting their butts doing this work, and so we've got to cover our man hours too, as part of the problem, so.
So we're
Yeah.
giving you 1 month's grace, we'll see where you are then, and then we can decide whether you've actually made progress or not.
I appreciate it.
Okay, well, we haven't voted yet, so, yes, sure.
Commissioner Palmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson?
Yes,
Commissioner Hamlin?
Yes.
Okay, we'll see you back here in January. Happy New Year.
good luck.
Thank you very much.
Get the instructions on
I'll
that.
be,
Happy holidays. You can come back to retire.
I'm willing.
Okay, now we have.
Good luck.
Now we're gonna talk about 5-7 Washington. 8890 Center, 277-79 Main Street. Right. So that's what you're here for, those 3 properties. So let's talk about, where are we? Here we are, 5-7 Washington. Your owner, who is Mayor Robustian, has indicated that the electrical violations, which were due in 2018,
Right.
are still not fixed.
Yeah, most of them are fixed, and we are addressing them. We couldn't get to them because of squatter situation.
Well, I drove by 5-7, it looks like the first floor is empty.
They're both empty.
Oh, they're both empty now?
Yeah, both vacant. We got the squatter out of there, that's at 7.
You've had squatters in there since 2018?
From what I was understanding, yeah, they inherited and purchased the property. These squatters.
So when was this a purchase?
I'm not sure when it was purchased, it was before I was on as property manager.
Because this is very long-term ongoing.
I was gonna speak to
Okay,
YZ.
go ahead.
So YZ has been a problem for the code office. There's been a lot of time spent with multiple managers explaining the requirements. Prior to COVID, years prior to COVID, it's an issue with us. They're at the top of our list to getting compliance because they have so many people living in their buildings. How some of these college kids rent places that look like this, or Steve and I have been in one
So
sixty-seven
one
Main.
167 Main is one that we declared unsafe, that you guys have been involved in.
But that's not an issue today.
Well, right, but it's the same property company.
So let's talk first about 5-7 Washington.
Well, what I was gonna say,
Okay, right.
what I was gonna finish up saying is, Mr. Wilkie is a new property manager. He's had very good communication with other properties. He's been communicating very well as far as YZ goes. This is all new to him. This isn't his fault. I don't feel it's his fault, but YZ is a problem. You can see the years worth of fees.
Oh, yeah, I mean, right, this is since 2018.
So again,
And.
if there's any inkling in waiving the fee, I'm just telling you, we spent so much time with this company. Just eating up time of our office.
Mhm.
Not necessarily.
Not
because of
necessarily,
mine,
Mr. Wilkie.
But
And that's pretty much.
No, and I want you to notice on the invoice, it's electrical violation 4.
Yeah, 4,
So this is.
4 years.
4, yes.
waiting for it to be done.
And we would like an indication that it is done, that would be great.
Yeah.
That will stop the fees, because these fees are only close out at the
Right,
end of the
we
year.
did stop.
They're still going.
Right.
well, no, so is this the one that we talked about with Mike?
Yeah, all 3 copies with Mark.
Yeah, so what happened is the inspector went to these properties and he indicated that they're kind of the inspection reports are so old. He's just generating new reports, because he's like, they're not really relevant anymore. The old reports are just so, they're from 2018,
Right.
2017. So we stopped the fees just because the inspector didn't feel that they could even be corrected anymore because they just were so out of date. So they've been re-inspected, new reports have been generated by the same inspector. And we're gonna try to get those fixed now.
But this invoice dated 9/30/21 is prior to that
Correct, yep, no, these are all fine. I'm just giving you some,
background and where
the
we
inspector's
are.
been in the building, they're generating new reports.
And I have to say thank you for that. It's nice to have someone responsible on the job now.
Right. Well, that's why
Because
the
we don't
company
want
has
to
it.
be, we don't want you back,
Right,
right? We want things to not be invoiced
Sure.
again.
sure.
So in this case, I fear that what's represented here is yes, you may have had a squatter, but this
Just
it's
on this
so,
property.
it's so ongoing that it can't be, these should have been taken care of way before.
Right, and then the owner company did hire them to take care of these issues. They
That's
want
wonderful.
getting it in, for sure.
So is this taken care of? No.
No, but it's in the process of being taken care of.
Well,
This
it
is
might not
a,
be, because you're
this
saying
is
the
a
new report's gonna
brownfield.
generate, which might have even more issues.
We're starting over.
We're basically starting from scratch because the old report was so, we did it at 195 Main as
Got it.
well. The
Okay,
old report was so old,
right,
it didn't
start from
reflect
scratch,
the current
right.
conditions. A new report was generated because. Yeah, because I mean, a 4-year-old electrical report is,
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion to deny the appeal because this is 4 years old and we're still not even corrected and in the process of trying to correct it.
second,
Chair Martin,
yes.
Commissioner Palmer,
Yeah.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Yes.
Okay, now let's talk about 8890 Center Street. This property I am not familiar with. So. This one, is this still inhabited by squatters?
No, we got them out.
Okay, that's one.
Yeah, and we did address a lot of the electrical violations. And again, we're gonna start over with a new inspection, that's the previous one.
So are we in the same boat with this one, where we're starting over?
yeah, I mean, basically the inspector went and he said that the old reports were not. They're just old, he said he found additional violations,
Yeah, so that's.
the old reports are. Not.
Right. So I'm afraid we're gonna do the same, right? Is that your motion? Go for it.
Okay, I make a motion to deny, sorry, I don't mean, I'm
Yeah,
not.
it's not you.
I appreciate that you're doing what you're doing now and that they've
You
hired you,
really
but,
do. And
I
let's
mean,
hope we never
4 years,
see
3
this
years, and going on the next one is, how many years, so, 2 years,
In
so.
fact, it may be
Motion
that
to
I
deny.
will, send a letter to the property
Got a
owner,
second next to me.
indicating that we appreciated your, appearance here today
Oh,
and your
absolutely.
assurance that this would not go on. And while we had to impose the fee because of lack of compliance in the past,
Mhm.
we are looking forward to the future. So I will support you in that way, but unfortunately. Now, the next one. Oh, we didn't vote? Okay,
Just
Chair Martin,
yes.
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're on one that is current. This one is not, this one, do you still have a squatter?
This is 277, I'm sorry, we're on
This
277.
is 27779.
Correct, we were just awarded a fiction one. So, so,
And this appeal is for heating inspection, electrical, housing inspection, and,
Smoke detector.
smoke and heat detector alarm.
You said there's a squatter in this house?
They just got them out.
right, we also abandoned the apartment a couple of weeks ago, I was supposed to make family notice.
I
On the door.
am of the mind in this case, since they are working on this one, and these are not as old,
No.
the smoke detector and alarm inspection could have been done on this. But the other ones probably were not, as long as I was.
Well, were you able to get, I know you are
I have got the
just new to it.
smoke detector form in.
You do have smoke detector.
Oh, and that's why it's a round number, because you got it in.
Smoke detectors in. And
And
alarm.
this is not,
Heating inspection is in?
No,
why
that's
don't we
correct.
have Mike Prosper on this? Is he the old property manager?
I think he's part of the YZ on that.
Yeah, some of them are Prosper, some of them, and one of them is actually under Meribu.
Okay, these were all due in 2021, right? Do you see the letter on the back of the? Yep. Invoice.
So we have the smoke detector and we have the electrical inspection in or no?
Is that one that Mark just did with that whole batch?
We
That
have,
was one of them, yeah.
Part of the
yeah.
batch.
That wasn't actually needed at the inspection done, so I was gonna be separate. We were addressing the violations first and then doing the inspection.
Okay.
Were you not able to get into this property to do any of
Correct,
these things
yeah, the
because of
previous
short?
property manager had difficulty with the tenants being aggressive, and there was harassment charges against them, so they want people to get in at all.
I'll confirm that, because I went and inspected the other apartment, but we couldn't get.
So you're confirming,
Spring or whatever, yeah, so. This is like you said, with the other previous management, but still.
let's keep the smoke and alarm, because that one could have been done without any impact.
Well, they're saying they couldn't get in the house.
We
We
could
couldn't get in the one apartment. you know.
And then the other ones we can waive,
Yeah,
because now that they have
the electrical inspector and the.
now that they have the people out, they can actually do all those things.
And the work. Okay. I think of that.
So what do you think?
I don't know.
Electrical inspection has violations currently on, well, not violations, rather, excuse me, issues currently. The current,
They were inspections.
yes, but the current inspection that's now been done, they're correcting violations on, is what you just said.
No, we haven't had the inspection yet.
Oh, haven't had the inspection yet.
No, they have been able to inspect, so the housing inspection, the electrical inspection, and the heating inspection
We're not done because they couldn't.
were not done because of squatters.
Got it.
And are not old.
So I make a motion to waive the fees on the heating, electric, and housing because of the circumstance of not being able to get in because of squatters. But let the smoke stand.
And it's smoke detector 1 and smoke detector 2.
Correct.
So, so those fees would stay. I will second that.
Andrew.
I'll second
And further discussion, all right, is everyone happy with this? Being
I mean, it's not fair.
code enforcement, is this gonna upset you terribly? No, are we gonna be good with this?
I know that you worked a lot with this company, but
Yes,
you clarified that.
but these are not as old.
So-
Well, like I said, Mike is, that's.
Mike's a
why-
good guy.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, can't go anywhere now, okay? Keep them on task.
Right.
And with, multiple other properties, so, we know.
Yeah, now we're done, we know you're on the board. Okay, if there's no further discussion, you can call the roll.
Sharon,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowman, Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Lennon,
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
So the remaining, here are the remaining. This one
1,006.
and. Well,
1,006.
this one and,
It's only one.
no, there's 2. It's this one and this one
Oh,
remain.
wait, then 273, the current one.
Right, 273 and
1,006.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't
Thank you for the
know.
work you're doing.
Already.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
what-
right.
I think 273 you guys paid, because that's not on your appeal.
Yeah, we did pay that one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so it's.
Okay, so just that.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Thank you. Please
Appreciate it.
You don't want you to go anywhere.
Keep up the good work, Mike, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I keep. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Let's try to get some back. So what we have left is Mr. DiBenino. He has appealed his blighted property fee. But here is here is the
Who's that, what number? Sorry.
bad news, number 4.
Oh, there
It's
it
number
is.
4.
Deep, you know.
This is the property on 10 Division Street that also had squatters in it. The windows are now boarded up. No action has been taken on this property at all. No restoration agreement has been filed. However, the clerk in 2020, November of 2020, sent a letter to Mr. DiBenino. She did not include that we had blighted the property. It was on the heading of the letter that, let's get that letter right up. It's a sad thing.
If the house is boarded up and squatters living in it?
Can you,
Not me, okay.
can you project that?
I think
I thought I had it, but I got too many papers here.
you know, this one.
I was a couple of days ago.
And I think, honestly, that happened fairly regularly in 2020. That no notice went out that a property was blighted. However, if you look at the screen, you will see that the heading of the letter says unsafe and blighted building. And then it says, consideration of the information received, the Board of Public Service declares the property unsafe, that the property is ordered repaired within 30 days of receipt of the decision, but nothing about restoration agreement, nothing about blighted.
But was the property repair done in 30 days?
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
and code enforcement didn't do an inspection because you couldn't get in.
right.
Okay, so
So this is kind of murky. However,
but nobody called us either asking questions.
Mr. DiBenino has done nothing on the property
Mhm.
and,
Well, who boarded it? Us?
We did.
we did. And built it.
Yeah, we boarded it up and billed him because there were random people just coming in and
Yeah.
out of the house.
Right, we remember that and it was, and you cleaned up the property, that was all good, very good. So we are in a little bit of a quandary here. Because Mr. DiBenino is getting the $2,500 based on not putting in a restoration agreement, which he never was told he had to do.
So why don't we just table it for 30 days and we'll send him a restoration agreement with the letter, and
Yeah,
if he doesn't respond, he doesn't respond.
you're gonna have to say that again.
What we'll do, what I'm suggesting we might think about is we can send him all the required paperwork. We can table this, if he doesn't respond in 30 days, then
That's fine, that's a good idea. So did you hear that?
Sorry, I'm reading it. Sorry. We couldn't read some of the handwriting to adjourn to December. With home improvements now waiting for eviction. Somebody. Because the moratorium expired first. I like that idea. Yes, I heard him.
I think
Sorry.
that is, I happen to support that
I like
position.
that. Yes.
So, but we do need to send him a certified letter, and it has to be 30 days from that certified letter. And if you guys would compose it and send it to the clerk, I'm sure she will send it out for us certified. Okay, so I make a motion, we table this appeal pending communication between the city and Mr. DiBenino.
I second that motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay,
Will it drop again?
January.
It will be 30 days in January, so it has.
no, it'll be probably February, but that's okay.
Chairman,
Yes,
Commissioner Palmer?
Yeah.
Commissioner Lewin?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Clement?
Yes.
okay, and we're gonna say this is not, this is. Okay, our last agenda item is 503 Main Street. The bank has asked us to lift the unsafe notice. This is the one where the fellow was, the police were called, he's dealing drugs. The property continues to be occupied. The garage alone needs to be demolished. I do not support the request by the bank to lift the unsafe, and I will be happy to send a letter under my name saying this property continues to be unsafe according to chapter 92. So that would be my position. I make a motion that we do not accede to the bank's request and continue the unsafe designation of 503.
Now, come back up again later, right?
Well, just,
Well, someday maybe we'll be unsafe, but
well, can we add to that? So the bank has already been requesting specific what they need to do in order to lift that unsafe. The squatters, the bank claims that they sent someone there and the property is vacant. That's their claim, is that they're no longer
the
squatters.
garage needs to be demolished.
Right, so I think that what we need to do is come up with a list for them. I think we need to declare that property blighted, and I don't think they've submitted any sort of,
Restoration.
so I think we need to reiterate that there's a process that they need to follow, and in order to follow that process.
Okay, so maybe attached to my letter, you could give us a memo
Yeah.
indicating what you expect to happen on that property,
Yes,
and we'll get together with Carrie. Carrie, I'll send you some wording tomorrow. No, I won't. I'll send you it on Monday. If that's your position, so. Yes, go ahead.
Chairman,
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Yes.
Thank you, great idea. Now, we just want to talk a little bit, we're not ready to talk about the blighted properties right at this moment, but I think, John, you have an update for us on the unsafe properties, and I wonder if that is the one. Sure. Let me just give them this, so you can respond to this. This went to everyone in the mail, but
That's fine.
yeah, it goes.
Next time, he's gonna take what.
That's the address for the property owner for number 2.
From Brooklyn, I mean.
Oh.
It's a no-brainer.
Get a roll call.
Here it is.
Well, there's,
I
no.
keep that stuff from the month before, but tables to the next table that happened, so you're not, you want to find more copies?
No,
No, not just numbers, I'm sorry.
Well, I don't see it by work, so in the computer, it's in Georgia. That's far enough.
January is the last
Why
March
don't
will
you-
accept.
I believe the applicant or the applicant is not
You
able
probably
to.
won't do it. It's one of them where they said she's told back in December 2020
That was,
that we weren't doing this. We will do.
Harry, you have.
Okay, we don't- try that to the
Sorry.
You have deputies.
There's a couple. Really want to inspection.
Yeah, that was way more September when the school thing.
Yeah.
And then.
But even then, we still need to go through, what's that?
three more. I can't pull the desk.
So why do we have to come up with restoration agreements like the gentleman saw?
Okay, so we're gonna go through the unsafe properties.
Before we go into that, one question, did you say we're tabling 8 Cozy Ave? 8 Cozy Ave?
Oh,
We
oh,
tabling-
sorry, did I miss one?
Yes,
Oh, we're, 8 Cozy is tabled. Steve, I'm sorry. I make a motion that we table 8 Cozy. Mr. Bolo asked for 1 more month because his property manager is out of town. And if he doesn't show up next month, we'll decide it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, we have to vote.
Chairman,
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Okay, so let's go.
Okay, so when I did this, I found out that you're in better shape than I thought, which is great. Basically, you can go down the entire list and pick every single garage out, and they've been demoed. I think at least 1 or 2 have been rebuilt.
Okay, so the ones that have stars next to them are the garages. They were by the owner. They were requested by the owner. So they're all taken care of. Yay.
Yeah,
So.
so
let's do-
29 Linden, and these are just, little side notes that I made, and actually, we all got together, spoke about each one of them. 29 Linden, the major violations have been corrected there. They had a engineer say that they had a catastrophic beam failure that's been replaced and rebuilt. Still has not gained a COC, but, he's got random other violations, but the major safety concern has been taken.
So these are things that in the new year, we could lift the unsafe.
Potentially on that one, you get into. I don't think the building is unsafe. They have open violations.
Well, that's why we want to wait on any ones that are questionable,
Right.
because that puts some pressure on us continuing. But for those that you're going to report to us that it's corrected, in the new year, we could lift those unsafe.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. 80 Deed Street I have is being demolished.
That was the garage. What about the chimney?
That's resolved.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. 5 Walling is vacant. 3-5 Walling is vacant, that's,
Yeah, that's the burn
Yeah.
property.
yeah, that's.
But I don't see them doing any
No
work.
progress.
They're not.
But we ordered that to be repaired and vacated.
Correct.
Okay.
You see it.
I'm not really sure what's going on with the owners there, but you'll get one call and then you'll get another call and they act like they haven't communicated, so I'm really not sure what the story is. But yes, that remains vacant, no problem. 39 Maple Street is vacant and blighted. We haven't drawn anybody out of the woodwork with the fee there. 62 Elm is the fraternity house, it's vacant. I guess it's on the auction block, but they can't do anything because of COVID.
62 Elm, the land bank is going to take, the
Oh, that's
county's
good.
turning over the land bank. The issue is because of the COVID foreclosure, moratorium, the county can't even foreclose on it, so they can't actually release it until the state lets them foreclose.
That's in January, right?
Yeah, assuming they don't extend it.
Unless they extend it again. Okay.
But yeah, so that property, actually, the land bank is interested and has already contacted the county about
That's great.
taking it.
That's great.
5 Stapleton Avenue, this is for sale, I went by there today, it looks in rough shape, it's for sale by owner. I don't know that that's truly listed, I haven't looked to see if there's a listing, I don't know,
No,
if I have faith it's gonna be sold.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
And the owner is planning on moving out, that's the
Is
last
that-
story we
Is
got.
that one that we could blame?
Potentially, I don't think they're gonna let us in the building. But it has some exterior conditions, and what I can see from the front porch, it's got boxes and personal belongings stacked to the ceiling. So 83rd Street has some stuff on the front porch, this really has stuff on the front porch.
Okay, so everyone.
It's on Realtor.com.
Oh, good, there you go.
Take a drive by Stapleton.
Oh, I know what it looks like.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, this is a good one. In the new year, we may be taking action, some additional action. Okay?
It's only
18th
97,000, Steve.
There you go. 18 Cherry Street has been demoed. I'm skipping past garages because those are all.
Yeah.
already built. 18 Hazel Street, sold and reoccupied.
Is the tree down?
I don't know.
Yes,
The city took
Okay.
two of them down.
the tree's not down over there.
If the tree is down, then it's, all right, well, we'll take a look at that.
Yeah, I know this, the city was gonna do some of those trees, so, and I know
I
that,
don't
They
think,
got that, I walked.
okay, they got that. Okay.
185 and 187 Chestnut Street. This is Mike Wilkie, who was in here as the manager there. Most of the violations have been corrected. They did some renovation work in there. 24 Grand Street, the violations have been cleared. Let's see.
So if they're cleared, can't we take them off now?
sure,
Yeah.
And we're sitting
Oh, you
there.
mean at this meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have the motion to do that, or do we?
no, we'd be all right. I mean, I don't know, the new governor's thing, are we allowed to do things outside of what we've announced we're gonna do?
It's not anything that requires a public hearing, it's just any document that's going to be discussed as opposed to.
Oh, okay, all right.
There's no
Okay,
requirement.
right. Okay, now we're on East End Avenue.
8 East End Ave. The tenant is out, sits vacant. The owner wants to renovate.
Okay.
4 Railroad Ave, that was Nate's garage, so it's been rebuilt. 8 Third Street, Steve issued 6 summons to the tenant a couple of days ago. And we're moving forward with that.
10 Division Street.
10 Division Street, we already know about. Let's see. 50 East, A1, the tenant was evicted and the apartment's being repaired and cleaned.
Okay, that's when we could lift.
68 West Street. I just put, this is done. This was a private homeowner fire.
Oh, right,
Um,
yeah.
And it's done. He missed all the inspections. And I told him he's gonna have to get an engineer to sign off, so, but it's done. So it's
Okay,
done.
so will keeping, in a case like that, would keeping unsafe
Yeah,
on
that
it
would
be
be
an
better.
incentive?
Yeah.
Okay, right, that's fine.
8 Pine Street is vacant. The tenant was evicted. As far as I know, I think the owner's planning repairs there.
But we aren't ready, okay,
Let's see, 11 Kearney, 1 occupied unit, this is a Volpe property again, 3 unoccupied vacant units.
That one's for sale too, isn't it? I thought they were trying to sell that.
I believe so, because someone told me they wanted, it was too long.
Yeah.
What was it?
15 Washington, the garage was removed, he's built new stairs in the back, he has minor violations remaining.
okay.
Garage, that's it.
Okay, so, the question was asked whether, 29 Linden, 185, 187 Chestnut, 24 Grand Street, 4 Railroad Avenue, and 50 East Street, should be, we should just make a motion now to have those unsafes listed. And you're thinking yes? Are we thinking
Say the
yes?
numbers again, sorry.
29 Linden.
Yeah.
185, 187 Chestnut Street, 24 Grand Street, 4 Railroad Avenue, and 50 East Street.
Okay.
I think the
18
only
Hazel
one,
Street, you said that, what did you say about 18 Hazel? They're
That
not-
was sold.
The property owner, or the tenant, the tenant which was creating
The issues
the
is gone.
unsafe
Okay.
situation has been evicted.
wait, I'm sorry, which address? 18
Oh,
Hazel?
18 Hazel,
18
that's the
Hazel
tree
was
house.
sold to a private.
Oh,
But that's taken care of now, right? That's, can be lifted?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
okay.
And I was just gonna say, the only one I may recommend keeping for just incentive purposes is 29 Linden.
okay.
He's very difficult to get.
Okay.
All right, so taking off 29 Linden,
And
that
taking
will
18
will renew the motion to be 18 Hazel, 185, 87 Chestnut, 24 Grand, 4 Railroad Avenue, and 50 East Street. I make that motion
I
that we
second
lift the unsafe on those 5 properties. I have a second? No, you already did it. You already said it.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so I'll second it. You already, she already made the
I
motion.
didn't
All
motion, but.
right, and I'll second it. Sorry, Dana. You
No, you
can't do
didn't.
it all.
Absolutely not, that's.
All right.
Let's see.
And will we get an updated sheet after?
Yes,
Again?
yes.
Very well
yes,
done.
yes,
I
yes.
appreciate it.
And thank you. Yes, it makes us feel better when we think about the long list that we
I'll work on
might
it.
have made a change on. Okay,
Ready?
so yes,
Chairperson,
yes.
Commissioner Waller,
Yeah.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Larson,
Yes,
Commissioner Nell.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I have some additional properties that are on the list that I didn't give it to you here. That I would like to have you consider blighting. They are 9 West Street, which is the storage lot.
Oh,
It
that's
has the
with
bad
oil
fence
containers,
and lots and lots of other stuff in like very,
Oh, yeah, across from the wall.
2 East Street.
Oh,
Two east.
oh, right, that's correct.
8 East Street, which is vacant and has a lot of damage on the outside, and I have no idea what the inside's like. 5 Wells Avenue and 409 Main Street. We'll take a look at those in the new year. Let's see, do we have anything else on Patrick Chipman? Yes, right here.
I have a question.
Yes,
Blighted property, I don't see, my lovely friend on here.
Counselor?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gouster, we sent the fee to.
I drove by yesterday and the door is open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I saw that too, I told.
we spoke about it. I got in touch with Scott. He said, I'm good to go. I went over, did an inspection, absolutely not good to go, sent my fee. Called about a week later. He said, I'm busy with my firehouse on Schaefer, and I said, this predates anything that ever happened on Schaefer, even COVID. I was like, so you haven't complied with the code office, and he's planning an appeal.
he'll
And
be too late.
what's that?
He'll be too late in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so that was his story, and we'll just keep hammering.
I'm sure he'll come to the council meeting and make a scene like he did last time.
Yeah, we like to do that. Okay, I just asked because it wasn't on the blighted declaration list.
I also was gonna mention Rose Ave. I'm gonna hit with a fee. I already told him. I said, you haven't met the dates, and he said, well, it's been rough, and
He will get in touch with us and tell us what's rough. I mean, this is part of a communication process.
Well, unfortunately, what we've told these people is they're the ones setting these dates.
Right.
We're not, it's not the city dictating.
No.
We say,
no.
give us dates and give us goals.
Yeah,
And we'll
you're right,
work
and
with
and
that.
we'll see if you meet them. Right,
And that's just
that's
not,
like Mr. Lamb. I'm sorry, he didn't meet his date, or Mr. Schmitz,
Right.
didn't meet his dates. We'll
Yeah.
see whether he can do it. We'll see.
Have you were in to inspect after the door was open, or you're talking about you went before?
now when the door was open. No, actually, I heard that.
I told you,
Yeah.
and John said something about, Scott said he was working there that day. so-
He was not working, it's still open.
No,
I drove by
yeah,
this
so-
morning.
Okay, so,
Maybe I'll make a friendly
do you need?
neighborhood phone call.
Andrew signed the book.
Yes.
Right, so is there anything further for us to consider today? Thank you. Happy New Year. I'll see you in the new year on January 6th. Thank you for your service. It's been a tough year.